Yo, Hello, Achan. Hello, hello. But I can't hear you. Can you see me, Achan?
Yes, I can see.
Ah, okay. How was
I
the
can see
program
and I
so?
can hear. I can see and I can hear.
How was the program so far?
It was wonderful.
Good,
Very
good.
excellent programs. Excellent discussion.
Congratulations.
Yes.
I just got up. I was sleeping.
Oh, good, good.
It is only 7 o'clock in the morning here.
Yes.
Mm.
So in Brazil, it is almost 11 o'clock, midnight. That's why.
Oh. So Takim has joined.
Takim is, I didn't see him.
Then
Fernando,
Beatrice,
Nimalka.
Nimalka, I cannot see.
Uh,
Then
Beatrice, I think she is. She's here.
Beatrice.
Biso, she should be there.
Then Joe Varghese.
Yes.
Joe Varghese is here.
Yes. ഞാൻ കണ്ടായിരുന്നു.
Very good. Beatrice is here.
Oh.
I saw her.
Okay.
Where Beatrice? No, George Matthew.
I'm not hearing.
You can't hear, huh?
Hi, Beatrice.
Oh,
Hearing.
loud.
Hi, Beatrice.
I am hearing very, very
low voice.
Not quite well. Just a few. But let me try to. Are you hearing me?
Yes, very good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'll try to do my best to understand because it's not good, but I can at least hear something. Okay.
Very good. Thank you for joining. This is George Matthew from Delhi.
No. Let me try to better hear. Please, can you?
Hello, Beatrice. This is George
okay.
Matthew from Delhi.
Okay, now I'm hearing you, Professor George.
Nice
pleasure, pleasure to see you. A great pleasure, and congrats for this beautiful seminar and very important.
Thank you for taking your time to join.
Yeah, a long
And
day.
I
Yeah.
came to know that you helped a lot.
Beatrice was a great support from
Yes.
South America, finding several professors and
I know.
participants.
I know.
I hope you enjoyed their presentations.
Yes, yes, yes.
Excellent. For
Mm.
me, it was a pleasure to introduce to you some friends and very important activists and scholars also.
Mm.
When are you coming to India? I'll invite you to India now.
Oh, in this moment in Brazil, you may know the situation is as well as in India and also in the States, very, very dramatic, and people are not aware of the dangers, and they don't use masks in the streets, and so very difficult situation. Not only, of course, in public health, also politically.
I know. India
Yeah,
is also passing through difficult times.
I also know. Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, but I'll do my best as soon as possible to visit you. It'll be a great
Please
pleasure
come.
to be there again.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you. We look
yeah,
forward to.
yeah. I'm supposed to just give some short words, yeah, because tomorrow morning I'm still working and it was a very long day.
Okay. Professor Kuriakos, why not we start?
Okay, please.
You start.
I start. Okay. It is a pleasure for me to invite you all to the concluding session. We both Himalaya group and Greenland group meeting together for a concluding session. We have this is we finished 6 sessions separately, and all the sessions were wonderful, very productive. Many senior professors, scholars participated in this discussion, and all of us are very happy. Now we are reaching to its end. Professor Liaquat Takim from Toronto, Canada, Joe Wagis from Calgary, Canada, Professor Beatriz Bisio from Brazil, Dr. Nimalka Fernando from Sri Lanka are joining in this sessions, in this concluding session and speaking. So I would like to invite Mr. Joe Wagis to give his presentation. Joe Wagis, you are welcome.
Yes, Varghese.
I'm just bringing my presentation up. So can you see my slides?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Reverend Dr. K.K. Kuriakos, Dr. George Matthew, my fellow speakers and the panel members, good evening and good morning in India. So I'm going to make a short presentation on coronavirus, the pandemic and its impact on oil industry specifically, and oil industry is part of energy industry. So most of the industries, majority of the industries in the world has one way or the other has a big impact by this pandemic. And there may be few exceptions, except the medical industries and pharmaceutical and maybe financial institutions. The industries which are really hit hard is the airline industry, the oil and gas industry, and also the manufacturing sector. So I would like to make a few uh, overview on how this industry is working and what are the challenges faced by the industry, and what is happening during the pandemic, and what is the expectation on the post pandemic COVID recovery situation. And I will conclude my presentation with a brief recommendation for the industry sustainment. So the oil is considered as a commodity. Commodity means it is traded in the marketplace, and its demands goes up and down based on the demand. And the supply and demand determines the price of the oil. So the price fluctuation happens when there is too much supply in the market. You can see that it happens several times. The big major oil producers, when they get into a price war, they supply too much in the market, and the market supply demand becomes disturbed, and that results in the price fluctuation. And also, sometimes it is referred as the oil cartel. The cartel is a group of major producers. They join together and they decide what happens in the marketplace, and they control the market share, and they make sure that the new entrants are not coming to the market. So this situation has created a very challenging situation for a lot of countries where they depend on the oil as their major income to drive their economic and social program. So you can see that the major consumers of this industry is the light and heavy duty vehicles, air and marine usage, and residential and commercial and industrial usage. So the industry is connected to many times or several times with these geopolitical challenges and the cultural challenges and the balancing of the supply and demand situation. The major threats faced by this industry is the energy industry has almost 15% of the total emissions. They are responsible, the CO2 emission. And also the industry is faced with alternate energy sources like the solar, nuclear, thermal, and it has a big impact on the dependent economies. And also the industry has its own transportation challenges, because the major way the transportation of oil happens through the railroad and the ocean. So the leakage and the spills related to the oil is always in the news, and it is a bad impact on the industry. And the oil production in US in the last 4 years under the current administration has significantly increased, also creating a challenge for the industry. And you can observe that the industry has the majority of the consumption happened in North America and Europe. Now it is shifted to the Asian market. So it becomes the major threats faced by the industries. Electricity is becoming a more attractive source of energy. And the last few years, the major oil companies, they haven't brought much capital because of the challenges faced by the industry. If the way it goes of new projects not coming to the mainstream could create an imbalance by 2025, that may create another challenge in the supply demand situation. The industry is also faced with the stricter challenges, regulatory requirements, and also the emission controls. And these are also making the producers very challenging to keep their costs down. And the transportation risk, as I said, the alternate sources, and also the terrorism is also a major threat to the industry. You can see that there are several incidents or examples I can say where the terrorism always focused on the industry and the assets. And the natural disasters, the recent examples in US and Canada, the forest fires, most of this industry is based in near the forest, and the forest fires have a big impact on how this industry is performing. So the pre-COVID era, the oil price in the past, it is fluctuated between 80 and $110. So there is two major index for the oil price. One is the WTI, which is the West Texas Intermediate, that is the North American index. The Brent crude is the international index. These two prices always within the 10-15 percentage range. And the market share of the OPEC countries, which is mainly led by Saudi Arabia, they are 60% of the market share. The non-OPEC countries like the Russia and USA and Canada, they are 40% of the market share. So there are two types of manufacturers or producers in the oil industry. One is the high cost, low volume, and the other one is the low cost, high volume. The Saudi Arabia, the Middle East countries, they are low cost, high volume producers. When it comes to the US and Canada or South American producers, these are high cost, low volume producers. The low cost, high volume producers can easily manipulate the market because their cost of production is very low. With that, that's why the control is with OPEC countries, and the OPEC is the low cost, high volume producers. So the major oil producers in the world are Russia, Saudi Arabia, USA, China, Canada, Iran, and Iraq. The major oil consumption countries are USA, China, and India and China becoming a major source for the oil consumption because of the manufacturing activities are steadily increasing in that world. So the natural gas, which goes in hand with the oil industries, is relatively stable, and there was not much price fluctuation for the natural gas in the current environment. So what is happening during the COVID? So around February time, the WTI and Brent were around $40 to $50 price. So at that time, there was a price war between Russia and Saudi Arabia, which caused the oil price to go down in the $20 range. So the way it happens is they are pumped the market with oil. So it created an unbalanced situation. So that itself is created a lot of challenges for some of these economies where they depend on the oil price. So during the pandemic, the oil price consumption is reduced by 20 to 30%. If you really look at the jet fuel side, the consumption is almost down by 50%. And the good thing what happened is the carbon dioxide emission is expected to fall by 8% during this time. So there is a lot of lockdowns, and the travel restrictions probably resulting in this improvement in the CO2 emission situation. And also in connection with that, the industrial and residential and commercial usage also went down. So as these regulatory requirements are going, the more and more countries are imposing increased regulatory requirements. So the oil industry, oil-based economies are really struggling during the pandemic because the oil price is collapsed, there is no new market, and also the consumption is down. And the wind and solar and the nuclear and thermal, these alternate sources are picking up because the new technology is making these technologies more viable and attractive. So this is also causing a big challenge to the oil industry. And as I said, still there is a big threat with the terrorism and the natural disasters, which is not beyond the control of the oil producers. So what is expected to happen the post-COVID era? So the governments are doing a lot of help, financial help or measures to keep the economy going. And the unified effort of the vaccine development Hopefully, once the vaccine is developed and the travel restrictions are eased, there will be more international traveling and maybe more trade between these countries. That is hoping that it will pick up the oil demand. The industry itself is around 40 million jobs. So 8% of the unemployment could come from the oil industries, which is very alarming number. And also more and more the digital technology applications are coming on board, which is really helping the industry to be more automated and more sustained. The low-cost alternate energy, as I said, it is going to pick up in the post-COVID era. The demand will pick up, and the carbon dioxide emission will come back to the pre-COVID era. So that is what is expected the post-COVID era with this industry. So what can happen is it's a responsible development of these assets are important. The reliability of the supply demand situation is very, very important. Any imbalance to this situation could again create another price war, or it could create another challenges, and the countries who are depending on the economy could suffer more. So there is no government policies in terms of how to control the price, and also there is very minimum cooperation among OPEC and non-OPEC. In some cases, they do come together and try to manage the the price situation, but there is no long-term solution how they can cooperate and support to keep the price down. In terms of the sustainability, the industry itself has a bad reputation, and the carbon capturing is probably a possible solution. How you do the carbon dioxide capturing, and how you can convert the hydrogen from the hydrocarbons, and how the new technology which can help to improve the water land usage and minimize the air pollution can help the industry to become more sustainable and more long-term sustaining with the economy and helping the countries. So I know that I talked about the COVID and how it impacts the oil industry. What is the connection this with the peace, right? So I will take a couple of moments to how you can connect this to, because I know in the past the oil was a major reason for few wars and also the non-cooperation among the countries. So a sustained long-term solution for the oil industry and the oil price and a cooperation among the countries could bring a lot of peace, and also the sustained economy among the countries that can have more growth and a predictable outcome when countries are cooperating among themselves. So with that, I want to conclude, and I want to thank for the opportunity given to me to share my views and the impact of COVID on the oil industries. And I would be happy to answer any questions, or I would like to hear any suggestions.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Professor Beatriz Pisha from Brazil, you welcome. Say a concluding reflection.
Well, first of all, I would again thank for the invitation to this very important webinar, Professor George Matthew and Father Kuriakosi. That was an extraordinary important experience for me. And I'm also sure that was the experience from the Latin American colleagues who participated. All of them are sent me some messages telling me that we're very grateful to be able to participate in the seminar and to know all of you. In relation to today's Mahatma Gandhi's anniversary, or yesterday, it depends on if we are here in Latin America, we are still on the 2nd October. For you is the 3rd. I think it was a very important homage to remember Gandhi's anniversary with a discussion on peace and human rights, on peace and religion, peace and non-violence, and in general about Gandhi's legacy, which is still very, very alive all over the world, as we have seen through many of the interventions we have in this seminar. In relation to peace, I mentioned that we unfortunately don't have a global peace nowadays, and Artur Gutierrez, the United Nations Secretary General, recognized that we still have this challenge to consolidate the global peace. And we have been discussing also in particularly in the session in which I participated, we discussed the necessity we have to rebuild, or at least reconstruct, reshape the United Nations, because it is still a very important institution, but it is not anymore an institution that is able to assure peace and human rights and development for all of us. And that is because it is a non-democratic institution. We have seen that. In particular, the Security Council, which is one of the colleagues of the Latin American colleagues remembered that Evo Morales' description of the Security Council was, it is an unsecurity council because it is not a tool, not an instrument adequate to proper assure peace and security for all of the human beings. We also discussed the challenges we have and that appear with very clearly during the pandemic, particularly the neoliberal legacy for most of our countries and our societies, with higher percentage of social distrust, social tension, unemployment, and even hunger again, famine. Yeah. So, and in relation to our common habitat, our planet, we also have discussed the challenges we are facing and the necessity to put into practice the compromises of the Paris Agreement, which unfortunately are not really being implemented, at least with the urgency that it should be done. So I think, and we have had a lot of testimonies of different ways civil society all over the world is trying to organize itself to overcome, to face their specific challenges of this pandemic, but not only, in general, the challenges of our society in the 21st century. And one of my personal conviction, I think many of the colleagues do agree with me, is that we are in an era in which we don't have anymore national solutions for most of the challenges. We have to understand that we have to build and to reinforce and to strengthen our international solidarity in all the fields we can, politically, socially, culturally, in relation to information. The exchange of information is very, very important. We have to know each other better than we already have till now. So, but I think these kind of initiatives you have already launched with this seminar and many others. I'm sure you, as well as ourselves in Latin America, will contribute to strengthen our alliance, our common networks to work together. So my final comment is that we have in this moment to be aware of the necessity of internationalism again, international solidarity, and a compromise with social justice, a compromise with international and global peace, but real peace, which is based on the respect of human rights and of freedom of religion, freedom of thought, freedom of organizing. And I think we have to be aware of the importance of the mass media and to try to democratize mass media, as it was one of the goals in the late century, in the 70s, when it was a very important subject discussed, for instance, at the level of the non-aligned movement and also later on at the United Nations itself. We have also to be aware of the importance of education, but what kind of education? We have been, some of the colleagues, in particular Latin American colleagues, have quoted and cited Paulo Freire, one of the Brazilian most important educators, whose legacy is in this moment destroyed by the Brazilian government. Even his name is forbidden to be pronounced, but it is very, very alive, his legacy among the Brazilian society. And for Paulo Freire, that education means liberation of the spirit, of the critical spirit of human being. So I think all these subjects in some way have been discussed in the different sessions. I have accompanied most of the discussions, and all of them were very interesting. So I have to congratulate the organizers once again, to thank for the invitation I received. It was an honor and a pleasure to be with you. And I hope after the pandemic, inshallah, we will have a vaccine, I will very, very pleased to meet you all personally, or to receive you all at home in our beautiful Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. So thank you very much. It was a great pleasure, and at any time we will meet, inshallah. Namaste.
I need to say a special thanks to Professor Bisso. Actually, I had no connection to South America. And Professor Bisso introduced so many professors, not only the South American professors, Professor Asril, Professor Akram, all were connected to the international this conference because of Professor Bisso. When we think about South America or Latin America, in modern thinking, they made wonderful challenges to humanity. Even the word globalization originated from South America, neoliberalism, and in addition, Paulo Freire's thought not only limiting to Latin American countries. Paulo Freire's waves of thought reaches in Europe, Asia, Africa, everywhere. And even present Pope Francis is a product of liberation theology. So it is a very powerful movement even in Christianity, and not only to the Latin American Christianity, even it reaches to both traditional and modern theologians, liberation theology. It very powerful impact. Without referring liberation theology, there is no discussion now going on. Last 2 decades at least. So South America is a wonderful country, and I would like to extend a sincere thanks to Professor Bisso for her contribution to this conference. The success of this conference is because of her, I would say.
Oh, no, no.
Yes, because George Matthew introduced Professor Bisso to me, and through her only all these distinguished professors connected to our to seminars, and they did a very wonderful contribution to the conference. So that is one thing. Secondly, I also would like to thank the Delhi office, Social Science Office, chaired by Dr. George Matthew, and his associates, Joshi and lastly Kavita. They were really the full, I don't know what word I can use. I last 2 years, hundreds of calls I had to make to New Delhi from this hill. This is Graduate Theological Union Library behind, and here, from here, Sister Marianne was attended, and Gordon Gilmore, he was with us from yesterday, and Kellen, and Father Misso, Thomas he moved to Fordham University, New York from here. So it is and from here, I got so much support for this peace conference in different ways. And I would like to thank the Delhi office too much. Because of Delhi office support and hard work, we could find all these eminent figures from yesterday, from for the inauguration ceremony until now. So thank you, George Matthew and his staff. And I also would like to spell out the concerns. We are now the revival era, Gandhi revival era. It is not only reviving his ideology, because Gandhi started his experience in communities. Tolstoy community in South Africa, he started his experiments of nonviolence and his struggle with political powers and way of life, a new way of community life, where in a multicultural, multi-religious experience he implemented. And there were Parsis, Gujaratis, Arab people without any classification. He accepted all people. A new community he formed in the farm and the farm life, and it is very interesting. Like Christian ashrams, a parallel movement. They had very disciplined life, work, study, prayer, everything was there. And when he returned to India also, he started Sabarmati Ashram. Then Vartha in Nagpur, in Bihar, and in South India also several movements. And Tamil Nadu in South India, they had very, the Gandhian ideas in the institutions, organizations spread out. Once I attended in a Gandhian meeting, oh, I was surprised. Hundreds of people from all over the state assembled, very big, large crowd. So even today in Tamil Nadu. So my point is, Gandhi revival era means Gandhian communities revival. Then there we had to start, because many scholars discuss. I heard in the Himalayan group yesterday night, and today also some people told about the Gandhian ideology. This ideology cannot be limited in the walls, but we need new community experiments that we have to encourage. I would suggest we need one community in one continent. So we have 5 continents on the earth, and so in different communities has to form. That hundreds of Gandhian followers are there. We have to encourage that. We have to discuss. I don't know how to bring that idea. Secondly, this peace conference itself. Even after the seminars, I had some contact with some professors. They were very much inspired. This year it was very hard for me because I am not associated with the university department. Without enough staff, this kind of conference to organize is very difficult. So I would say, I would suggest we have to take a decision how we can continue this Gandhian revival era and the peace conference. Even if we want to convene the peace conference next year, we have to think about today how we can authorize someone. And the people who were participated today are interested, and many professors, but we need a leadership organization. And these are my 2 suggestions, how we continue the peace conference next year and in future. Secondly, the Gandhian communities. With these suggestions, I would conclude my words. Thank you all. Many people have supported me. From Atlanta, Thomas David, he was a God's support to me, and Gordon gave me much help in different ways. We met 2-3 times, and this way, many people, I don't know how I can express thanks to all these people. Thank you all. Thank you all.
You're very kind. You have worked so much. And you say that we Namaste.
Thank you, Professor Kuriakose. Without you, this would not have been possible.
Maybe George Matthew, you can continue my two announces. I mentioned Gordon and Kelly. I would like to extend my thanks to them also. They were with me yesterday in the inauguration ceremony, and today also Kelly and Gordon was around.
We're honored to help.
Thank you.
So everybody, let me join Father Kuriakos in expressing our deep thanks to all of you for making this program a big success. But the success will mean what is its impact for future, and who are the actors who will continue this vision and mission. And that is the challenge before us. And I am sure all over the world, we have dedicated Gandhian followers. But the most important thing is to organize, to communicate, to motivate, and give ideas to go forward. We are living in a global village. How can we make use of that with the technology and all other aspects of our life? Pandemics will come and pandemics will go. And I am an optimist that humanity can survive and prosper. But for that, without the ideals of Gandhiji, and Gandhiji leaders and like Gandhiji, we cannot do much. So I am sure we can take up concrete steps, active ideas we can bring forward, and we can plan it. Not only October 2nd, when there is a crisis, we have to come in. And with this communication revolution, all this is possible. But we need two types of resources. One is human resource. Another is financial resource. How can we manage these two is the very important point we have to deliberate. I am sure yesterday's discourse and today's concluding remarks and presentations will give us that inspiration and motivation. And I hope with this social capital and the human capital, we can take it forward. Once again, I thank you. Many friends and colleagues in the Institute of Social Sciences worked along with Professor Kuriakos and his team, and the cooperation from all the scholars and heads of the institutions and many others could take us to this point. And once again, I thank you, and we are together, and let us go forward. Thank you.
I would also like to thank our IT team, professional team. There is Subin Karuthalakal, Sean John, Philip Marich, Jesse Wagis, and Biju Jacob from Philadelphia. All these people had a support in different ways. Time zone finding was very difficult thing. Even 2 days ago, I had several calls from some of our speakers. The time, because 12 hours different in New Delhi. Some thought it is after this time. That is now here it is 10 10:30. Some in New Delhi it is
8 o'clock.
Saturday morning. But Saturday morning, and some thought it is behind. So it was so much confusion. It was very difficult. On that case, Jessie Varghese did a good job. She could prepare a time sheet, the time zone sheet itself, and produce. And that way, several people helped me in this. And when I approached other contributors, for example, the medical team, even though late and even though very busy with their profession, like Dr. George Rutherford, and he was immediately without any hesitation, he accepted, and other doctors also. They arranged, and they also did very wonderful contribution to peace conference, and especially the peace in COVID-19 era. We have to say special thanks to these doctors also. I hope I covered all areas, and some people couldn't enter to the conference because of technological difficulties to them. Like Professor Asil had hard time this morning. He struggled 10-15 minutes. He was in Sweden and to enter to the conference. Same way, I suspect Nimalka Fernando from Sri Lanka was expected to speak here, but she couldn't enter. Maybe some technological problem. Otherwise, she was a very inspiring person, and she had to share with the human rights situation in Sri Lanka. And I don't know what happened to Professor Yakat Takim also. He also support in my publications. He continuously contributed articles that the 3 volumes already published on global, connected with global peace. And he gave very strong articles, I would say, very scholarly articles he contributed. And in the last one is spirituality, technology, and globalization, and global peace. In that book also, he introduced his associate to contribute an article. That way, he is a good support to our global peace movement. I don't know what happened to him also. Philip Marett, he is our video helper with other IT people. He is recording, and he will he shared our this conference to YouTube also information. So it is coming in the YouTube. People can watch and share, and we can send to our students and all related peoples concerned global peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So let's conclude.
George Matthew. You can make a concluding speech, George Matthew.
No, I'm not making a concluding speech. I am only saying that, as I mentioned earlier, we have to take this mission and vision forward, and we have to plan this. And now we have human resources everywhere, and under your leadership, we can make the best use of it. We have many challenges ahead, but we have to face those challenges. And with your commitment, with your team, and we all with you, we shall see that the ideals of Gandhiji will be revived. And in fact, Gandhi revival era, you only mentioned to me, and that was a wonderful coinage of the words, which the ideas came together. And yes, we can. Let us all say today, yes, we can. Yes, we shall do it. And with these words, let us conclude this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. See you next time. We had to plan. I can.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.